They're live. Take it away.
Okay, okay. What we're gonna do, what me and Albert are gonna do is we're gonna disprove the idea of sons of God being angels. I think a lot of people are
What's
confused.
your watch page?
Hold on a second. What?
Your watch
Sons
page.
of I don't have a watch page. Okay, I don't have a watch page. Are you talking to me? I don't have a watch page.
It was playing on the actual page for some reason. I don't know how that happened.
Okay, I don't.
Anyway, continuing on.
Are you
Let's start
talking to
again.
me? All right, I'm sorry about that. I don't know. Are we still getting the feedback?
No, I believe we're good. We can start again.
Okay.
It should be taken care of.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, do I need to repeat myself or can I just
No,
go?
you're good. You're good.
All right. Okay, so for me, I like to boil everything down and make it real simple. Um, it's like in mathematics, you always want to find the lowest common denominator. When you're trying to figure out equations, you want to make it as simple as possible. And um, in the question of is angels sons of God, I think specifically in Genesis 6, people think that sons of God means angels, and it's in verse 2 that I think is a big question for everybody. Is that right, Albert?
Yeah, the confusion comes between verse 2 and 4, where the giants come in. Where do the giants come into play?
Well, yeah, okay. So let's go back to verse 2. Verse 2 reads that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all they chose. Okay, I think in order to understand what sons of God is, because this is the first mention of the phrase sons of God, you got to go back to verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Let me repeat that. When men, this is talking about it came to pass when men began to multiply. Okay, and then it talks about daughters were born unto them.
Right. And it does actually make a differentiation between the two lineages.
Yeah, between men and women, between men and daughters there for sure, right?
Well,
But
yeah,
also there's a difference between men and sons of God. Men would be all men, and sons of God would be uh, well,
yeah, it's hard to word, but I would say mostly believers, those who truly believe and, well, at least in olden days, kept the Lord's commands and kept the commandments and all that.
right, exactly. That's what sons of God means. And then the daughters of men, every single time I don't know, every single time sons of God, every time there's the word son, that means a man. Every time there's the word daughter, that means it's a woman.
Right.
And then, okay, so you go back to verse 1, it says, when men began to multiply. And then verse 2, it says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men and took them wives of all they chose. All right, so I think it's clarifying. It's 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 it gives the starting point on verse 1, and then verse 2 it specifies, it gets more specific, I should say, right?
Right. And yeah, I just wanted to, it even possibly could go farther back than that to Enos or wherever when men began to call upon the name of the Lord. One could contend that's where they were starting to call themselves sons of just the distinguishing, because the next chapters it goes over Cain's lineage, which is separated from Seth's lineage. So Cain's lineage, which got wiped out in the flood, those are the sons of men and daughters of men in this case. And then the ones who believed, the godly line of Seth, even though some of them did, sons of God, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, like, oh, what's wrong with her? Like, she looks perfectly good to me. Like, what's the problem? And then it just took wives of all of which they chose. All of which they chose. But go ahead, carry on.
No, right, and that, to me it couldn't be more obvious. And, I think, and just to clarify real quickly, let's go to what was that? Oh, 1 John chapter 3, verse 2. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, and we shall see him as he is. But specifically, beloved, it says, beloved, now are we the sons of God. Okay, I think, well, it's so obvious, Albert, that the problem I think that people are having is, yeah, I was having this discussion the other day, and the people are taking the sons of God and making them into angels having sex. And I don't want to offend nobody, but there's a verse that says, let me find it real fast. It's Jude chapter 1. How that they told you there should be mockers in the last time who should walk after their own ungodly lust. Okay, and so this issue of angels having sex is a lust issue.
That it is.
They're taking angels and they're making them out to be perverts.
Yeah, and it also does say somewhere, I think it's even in Jude somewhere, but it says that these same speak evil of angelic majesties, stuff like that. Like, they're getting it twisted because Jude is all about false teachers, as far as I know.
All right, I'm sorry about that. And wrestling with the cat. You're exactly right. Now, what verse was that?
I'm not exactly sure the verse, but sorry, Jude is very short, a very short book.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. You were saying that they speak evil of angels. Is that?
Yeah, I'll have to find. They speak evil of angelic majesties.
Yeah, I'd like to find that verse because that's a good one. Anyways, you probably don't have that. I can't find that verse anywhere. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. But anyways, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's Jude 1:8.
Jude 1:8. Very good. Okay. Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. Now, dignities.
Right. So yeah, I'm sorry. That's probably these other Bible versions that are giving me that.
Yeah. You know what? I've had that same problem where I started off reading corrupt Bible versions, and then my memory was
Yeah. Yeah,
all off.
in the King James, it says dignities, not angelic majesties. So maybe that's my bad.
But in verse 9 it says, "Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses." Anyway, the point is that I think people are taking these angels of God and then making them into perverts, and I think that's it really falls in line with what verse 18 says, that in the last time it says that people should walk after their own ungodly lust, and I think there's too much lust and there's too much fascination with sex, and the people are thinking everybody's having sex with everybody, and even angels are having sex with people. And I think the one thing, the reason why people accept this is because of their worldview.
Yeah, I agree. It's because they believe that the Earth is a ball spinning through space in this infinite, well, as far as we know, universe with buttloads, who knows how many galaxies and stars, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing is, I remember, I used to argue about this all the time. I used to think about this sort of thing all the time when I was a teenager growing up and never really stopped. But if you got to think about, if the Earth were a planet and it was in outer space, it would only make sense that there would have to be life on other planets. There just would have to be. Okay, and then if you believe the Bible is true, you would have to believe that the Bible would talk about life on other planets. And the only thing that's even close would be angels.
Right. And it says that God created the Earth to be inhabited, not Mars, not Pluto, not some other quote unquote Earth off some other star system.
Right, so the logic is there, but like we talk about all the time, the starting point is wrong.
Right. And there was actually once upon a time where I actually, on my path of learning of the truth of all these things, I actually listened to and thought they were not bullcrapping me, that there were actually beings out there channeling messages to people, like people from other worlds, giving the messages somehow, and they were getting it.
Yeah.
I just have to laugh at myself now, wow, what a dummy I was.
Well,
They're all the information that they write down, whether it's from a person or it really is from some other entity, that's some crazy ish, and they come out with it non-stop. Every day there's a new freaking channeled message from somebody, and it just has the most ridiculous nonsense in it. So if anything, you're being deceived by evil spirits.
well, exactly, and yeah, exactly, and so the thing is, the angels don't have sex. I
Right.
think.
What need would there be for them to have sex? There's no angel females, right? I haven't heard of any angel babies. I don't see how they would need to make babies, considering they're basically immortal unless God kills them.
Right. Jesus says in Matthew 22:4, in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. See, there's a reason why we have sex.
Yes.
We can procreate. It's so
Right.
we can have generations of people. There's a necessity for us to have sex, and there's a reason why it feels good, so that we'll have motivation to keep doing it, and we'll keep producing babies, right?
Right.
But angels that that are everlasting, like when we are resurrected into our everlasting bodies, we're not going to have. There's no reason for us to have sex.
Exactly.
We're not going to procreate in heaven, or we're not going to, like some people think. We're not going to be. That's not what everlasting life is all about. It's not about having sex all the time. And that's what I mean. Oversexed, right? There's a reason why we have sex now, and it really kind of ties into the Genesis of the Adam and Eve story, where what's that? What's God tell Eve that? I got to think about, because they ate from the tree that they weren't supposed to. Excuse me. And yeah, and Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living.
Right. All living. Key words.
Yeah.
Does all mean all? Because if all means all, that's going to come into play later.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, there's plenty of times, but before that, I wanted to say, well, all means all, like like all flesh died that was upon the face of the earth in the flood, except for those that were in the ark with Noah. That
Right.
all
That
doesn't
would
mean that
mean
there was Bob over there on the Hawaiian Islands that somehow magically survived.
okay. I see what you're saying. So some people think all means some.
Right,
All in this little pocket of water that people drowned in.
right.
Anyway, okay, so I found the verse that I'm looking for. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And this basically opens the door for, having sex and procreating and on and on and on, generation after generation. There's a reason why we have sex. There's no reason at all for angels to have sex. None.
Right, right. But since this is where the problem comes in with these people, they're going to say, but read the verse very carefully. It says the angels in heaven. They're not in heaven anymore, right? They're not in heaven anymore. They're on the earth now. Now they got these new magical powers. Somehow they got a body which is capable of procreating somehow.
Where did that come from? That doesn't even make. Yeah, I know that's
what they're going to say. They're going to say, look, keyword in heaven. That's where it comes from. They're going to say, oh, the angels in heaven don't marry. But it doesn't say anything about the angels who aren't in heaven.
Well, have there ever been any angels from heaven come down to earth?
Not unless they were cast out.
Oh, I thought there was an angel appeared to Mary. No?
Oh, well, right. And don't forget about in Lot's day when the angels, they went and ate with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
then they'll say, oh, look, he can eat and he can drink. Surely he can, all the people in Sodom and Gomorrah wanted to, have sex with the angels. My rebuttal to them is, well, did they know that they were angels or did they just appear as men?
Yeah, those guys, the perverts, and they just wanted to have sex with anything.
Yeah, and they just looked like men. They couldn't tell that they were angels necessarily. They were just like, oh, he looks good.
Yeah.
Why would an angel come and why would he come? He could come as a beggar if he wanted to or something.
Did the angels have sex with them?
No, they didn't actually, because see, that's the thing. They ate and they drank, but they never had sex. No angels ever got raped, so their point is moot.
Yeah, see, that there's no way, there's no desire for an angel to have sex. None.
Right, and that's the other thing they'll say. They'll say, "Oh, look, Sodom and Gomorrah, they got destroyed because they went after strange flesh, right? Strange flesh, and that strange flesh that they're going to talk about is the angels that came to Lot."
Well, yeah. What verse is that again?
Oh, going after strange flesh? I don't know. You'd have to just type in strange flesh. You should find it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Jude again still, right?
Was it?
Yeah, that's a great book. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities about them in like manner giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Right, and I would contend that the strange flesh here, once again, is believers going after unbelievers or just going after any flesh that's unsound. You can go after a cow, you can go after a man, like any of these things, that's strange flesh. But it does also say things about strange women elsewhere in the Bible. So strange flesh, strange women, and they're told numerous times throughout the Bible, don't go over and give your daughters or your sons unto these people over there. Don't do it with them. Don't do it with these guys. Neither shall you take theirs to be yours. Right?
Right. Oh.
So all these things, they're told not to mingle with certain peoples. Not angels, right? These people, the Amorites, even though they might have been very tall, they had nothing to do with angels.
No, there's some people say that too.
You know what they're going to say. They're going to be like, but they were grasshoppers in their sight. Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, and that goes, let's go back to Genesis 6 again. Um, because you mentioned verse 4, right?
Yes.
And
The giants were in the earth in those days.
the cat's going nuts.
It's
All
okay.
right. And in verse 3 it says, "And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his day shall be 120 years." Verse 4, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown." Okay, so what is the argument that giants are
They're
alien?
trying to say that the giants are the result of the sons of God mating with the daughters of men.
Okay, so you're a son of God. I
Right.
think we established that, right, Albert? You're a son of God. So
I would hope so.
if you have sex with a daughter of a man,
Right.
you're going to produce a giant.
Apparently.
All right, I'd like to see that.
Right. But they're trying to say that in this case, a son of God is an angel.
Oh, I see. So whatever fits their.
So the angels came down and they mated with the women and they produced giants. But if you read it very slowly, that's not what it says. It says, even if you start before where you started, it says there were giants in the earth in those days. Well, what days is it talking about? Because we haven't even gotten to the point where sons of God come in unto the daughters of women. They just saw that the women were beautiful and they took them all wives, of which they chose. No sexy time yet, see? And there were already giants there. It says there were giants in the earth in those days. What days? The days where the sons of God saw the daughters of women, that they were beautiful, and took them wives.
Yeah, and
And then also after that, when they came in unto them and bore them children. Still, there were giants in those days too.
in the days before the flood, and then in the
No,
day.
I'm not even going to say after the flood. That's pushing it too far. I'm saying right. All it's referring to right there is before and after they had sex. There were giants in the earth both before the sons of God came into the daughters of men and also after that.
But you've heard somebody say that there were giants before.
Right. Well, I mean, there were giants after the flood, but that's not what that text is saying. I don't see how that text right there is saying when it says and also after that. I don't think that that's talking about after the flood. Although there were giants after the flood, not the same. See what I mean?
Oh well, you know what? That might be another discussion. I'm not.
It probably is, but no, it's as far as I can read it, it says there were giants in those days. So you have to ask yourself, in what days?
It's in the days before God destroyed the world by water. That's and
Where
that
are you getting that?
that's the context of what chapter 6 is about.
We haven't even gotten that far yet.
Now it's building up to that point though.
But
And
we haven't gotten to the flood yet.
no, but God is seeing all this, right?
Sure, but he's gonna put it in a I don't know. It just seems to me like he's gonna put it in a way we can understand. He's not gonna be like, "Behold, look, as I see." Your mind would blow up.
Well, sure, but I think he's in the context of chapter 6. It's talking about what was going on before the flood and why God was going to destroy it. So
Right. Fair enough.
there were giants, right? Now, so people, are you telling me that some people are making a distinction between giants and regular men?
What they're trying to say is that the union of those two things created the giants. But what I read is that there were giants in the earth in those days, and giants is non-specific to man. So in other words,
Giant women.
everything was giant, maybe? a little bit bigger than we would think, so they're giants to us. Because I mean, keep in mind, all this wasn't supposedly written down until like Moses and stuff. So
That's an interesting thought. I see what you're saying. That's interesting. Everything was bigger. Everything lived longer. Is that what you're saying?
right. Yes, everything was just generally bigger. Not everything was super gigantic, but if you have a 900-year-old lizard, that's going to be a dinosaur in my opinion, or a dragon. And
Yeah.
likewise, I think Noah was bigger, so his cubit might have even been bigger, meaning he could fit even more animals on there. Or does it? Because all the animals would have been bigger.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting. It's possible. I mean, I absolutely agree. The Jackson chameleon.
Right.
You
Totally,
look,
totally be a triceratops. It's just really shrunk down because it's nowhere near getting. It doesn't even come close to getting like near 100 years old, let alone 600 or 700.
it's the same creature, man.
Right, I think it is. It's just all the features get super enhanced. Like if you've ever played that game Spore, you can see what I'm talking about because you can design creatures of your own and you can play with the toys and you can like see how you can like change like a little like it'll be like a disc on their head and then you can pull it out into like a horn. Like the things that you can do in that are ridiculous. But yeah,
Yes. Okay. So after the flood, there's a place called all the region of Argob with I can't say these words with all Bashan. It's in Deuteronomy 3, which was called the land of the giants. So
right. Aga Bashan, the remnant of the giants, one of the last.
right, right. So
It
anyway,
wasn't even that big. But go ahead,
so,
keep going.
yeah. So but that's not. I don't think that's. Okay, so what you're saying is that because the sons of God had sex with daughters, they produced giants.
That's not what I'm saying. That's what they're saying.
All right.
I'm saying everybody already was a giant. And
Yeah.
it so happened that the sons of God, the believers, went into the unbelievers, the daughters of men, and they bear children to them. That was the problem. The problem is because it's not so much that they went together because, now the unbelieving husband or whatever is sanctified by the believer, right? The other one sanctifies the other. But it's because back in the day, all the people fell away from God. All of them went evil. All of them went wicked. Because if you have, for the most part, a believer marrying an unbeliever, the believer usually goes the way of the unbeliever and ditches God. And that is what angers the God. Sorry, that's what angers God against us. You kindle his anger when you do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't mix with people who are going to bring you away from him. It's just
It doesn't work, man.
doesn't work. You lose. That's what Solomon's folly was. He tried to be buddy buddy with all these countries and all these tribes and all these people, like taking wives and all this. And what did it bring him? Yeah. He got 700 something wives, and all of them just brought him so far away from God, it wasn't even funny. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the issue isn't even the issue is it's the believers are being taken away from the Lord had to destroy the earth. Is because could you imagine you're the creator, you create the entire earth and all these things, you show them all these things, and now not a single person on the entire earth believes in you except for one dude. Noah.
That's pretty.
And if Noah was, I think there was something, maybe that was somebody just talking, but if Noah was in the Jerusalem days, his family wouldn't have even been spared. It would have just been Noah.
Well,
It was only by the grace of God that his family was allowed to come with him.
yeah, and I think there was a lot of people on the earth at that time as well.
I think there was a ridiculous amount of people on the earth because not only was there more land, in my opinion, because there was no ocean yet, right? Are you under that?
There was no ocean before the flood.
I don't think there was no ocean before the flood. I think it was all shallow seas. Like everything was different. Everything worked different.
There might not have been as much water for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's just not as much water. So you can still call them oceans, I suppose, but it would be a lot less. They would be way back farther than they are now.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
a lot more higher now because we got the flood, and not all the floodwaters drained off.
I can go along with that.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so what do you think?
Yeah. Was that your cat that was meowing, or was that my cat? Did you hear a cat?
That was definitely my cat is in my basement. Somehow it's an engine and it can go through doors or something. I don't know.
Well, my cat is just going nuts, and it's driving me nuts. So, anyways, I didn't know if that was my cat or your
I'm just kidding.
cat's making too much noise, man. They got to calm down. I think he's hungry or something. I don't know.
Well, hey, if you got to go feed him for a hot minute,
He can starve. He's got food. I know he does.
he just wants to bother you.
You might want to go outside, and I don't let him outside at dark. Anyways,
I wouldn't either.
yeah. Anyways, so we were talking about the before the flood. I think there was, there was a lot of people because you figure it like if you're a woman. I don't know all the woman stuff, but I think they're able to have children starting about 15, give or take.
Right.
And they can have children up to, what, 60? I don't even know.
Probably, and that's only today.
That's today, but back then they were living 10 times longer. So they
Right.
were having children at age 15 and continuously have children for hundreds of years.
Right. Well, Noah didn't have his children until he was like almost 600 or something like that, right?
Yeah, and so uh, the women could have produced lots of children.
Yeah, a lot. And so the population back then could have even been even greater than today. And they
Yeah.
had 1,656 years to do it.
Yeah, there could have been 25 billion people.
And
But
there's still plenty of land for all that. So all the earth was inhabited, right? And
oh yeah,
all got buried. So half the civilizations that you might be able to find, they're underneath you. They're buried under lots of mud and stuff. Because you have to imagine the scale. Have you ever seen raging water? What raging water can do?
very destructive.
Oh my gosh, it can move. I'd venture to say it can move mountains.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how destructive water can be when it's ferocious. It will smash your boat into pieces.
Right, exactly. And so, okay, to stay on topic. Oh well, I don't know what more there's to say.
Oh, we got tons more, buddy. We got. What about them elongated skulls?
Those people are still living today.
They are. But what about, because they're going to bring this, they're going to say, what about the elongated skulls that have no suture marks like we do on your head? Like, it's like a different skull.
I got suture marks on my skull.
Right, but they're going to say that some of these elongated skulls don't have the same patterns that we do.
Well, you don't have the same suture scars that I do.
Well, that's a very good point, but they're going to say that the suture isn't even there.
What's that got to do with anything? A suture isn't that
Proof that an angel had. They're going to say that that's proof that angel had sex with women, and those are the result. These elongated head skull people.
well? Yeah, well, that's ridiculous. For one thing, those
Of
people
course it is.
see people today with those elongated. They're living. They're alive right now.
Yeah, that's headboarding, and there's no doubt that they might have been doing that kind of crap before the flood. But in addition to that, here's my answer. So you have the whole pre-flood world, right? And everybody's diversifying. You have 1,656 years to do it, and everybody's diversifying, and then there goes the flood. Boom, everybody's dead. Now you have a bottleneck. You have 8 people now, and 2 of each kind of animal, for the most part, some 7, but for the most part, that's a genetic bottleneck, right? You lost all the other genetics. All the rest of the genetics, gone. Whatever anybody was missing at that point, toast. So now, when you find this elongated head skull person, maybe it's just a pre-flood person, and they had different genetics. So when we look at our genome now, and we're like, oh, we have it all mapped out, right? Well, we have it all mapped out for what it is today, but if you look at it and compare it to a human from back in the day, it's gonna look like alien DNA to you, because you're gonna be like, what is all this? Well, it's still human DNA. It's just a lot of it was lost in the flood. What do you think?
Well, if you find an elongated skull, to see that elongated skull and say, well, that came from the planet Mars, that's just, you're going way out there, man. And but the other thing is, how do you know that's from 10 years ago? How do you know that's not from 5 years ago or 20 years ago? How do you know how long ago that skull was living?
Right, that's a good point, because I don't believe that anybody has any dating methods that are accurate. I haven't seen any that are accurate.
There's none. It's not
Reasonably
possible.
accurate. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least reasonably accurate. They're all like way off. I could give you something that I just made yesterday and it would date like 10,000 years.
Wow, yeah, right, exactly. And if you find one of those skulls, maybe it was from before the flood, or maybe it was from a couple of years ago.
It could have even been after the flood, because no doubt they were doing it. The only oddity is the fact that they're missing the suture. But, you know, that's the thing again. Like, people, men, whatever, humans, they have not mapped out everything. They're going to tell us that they've explored the whole earth and they know like every last inch of it and stuff like that. It's like, I guarantee you haven't been into the heart of the Amazon jungle. Maybe somebody has, but certainly not you guys. Not you scientist heads. You might have flown over it, maybe a section of it, but you didn't go up in there. You didn't see what's all up in there. You didn't record all the animals and everything.
Absolutely, they're just making stuff up, and it's like if you see an oversized donut and you can't explain how this donut got so big, well, it must have come from Mars.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like whatever they want to do, or whatever they want to say, it's a baseless claim.
All right, so fair enough. What's the next verse that we have? Let's see, we have 11 or so. So going off of Genesis, unless there's another one in Genesis that mentions sons of God, what's the next one?
The next time the sons of God is mentioned, let's see, let me pull that up.
Children of God. I suppose that would be the same.
What I do, here, I'm going to have to refine that. Oh, here it is. Okay. So we talked about, I don't know if we were on air when we talked about this, but sons of God, the phrase sons of God is mentioned 11 times, right? 5 times in the Old Testament.
Right. That was when we were off air, so go ahead.
6 times in the New Testament, and the first mention is verse 2, and then the second mention is verse 4, chapter 6. And then we go to Job.
Good old Job.
Chapter 1, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them.
I'll give you a chance to make your comment before I make mine.
Well, okay, I think it's real simple. The sons of God, again, the word son means man. And like we talked about earlier, Albert, you're a son of God. And I'm a son of God. And so we're sons of God, and the son means man every time. Now, and then they came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And if you're confused about this, Satan is more like a spirit that dwells in somebody, right? And so, like when Peter was talking to Jesus, and Jesus asked him, who do you say that I am? And Peter says, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And, and Jesus says, that's correct. And then a few verses later, he calls Peter Satan and tells him to get behind me, or whatever exactly. He called Peter Satan. That doesn't mean Peter was not Peter, but Satan or whatever. I'm not sure. It doesn't mean Peter was an angel, and he was the angel Satan. But it does mean that the spirit of Satan was in him, and Jesus was rebuking him. Now, in this verse, verse 6 of Job 1, and Satan came also among them, that means Satan was among these men that presented themselves before the Lord. That's the way I see it. How do you see it?
Well, I see it, kind of the same way. I would say that the people that were presenting themselves before the Lord were on the earth. There's nothing there that would indicate that they're in heaven.
No, that's a good point. I don't see
They're
that
on
in.
the earth they're on the earth because, well, for one, there's other examples where people are presenting themselves before the Lord, right? And they're not in heaven, like Leviticus 14:11. But there's also times where, well, what is it? Matthew 18:20, maybe. Let me see. Matthew 18:20. It says, yeah, for where two or three have gathered together in my name. Well, sorry, for where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. So you might not be able to see him, but he's there. And then on top of that, it says the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. So if angels are sons of God, so you're saying the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and also Satan came among them? Satan is not a son of God.
That's goofy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just weird. It's like, well, like, because Satan is an angel, so like, why wouldn't he be one of the sons of God? So why is it putting him in a separate category? Like, but on top of that, it says in Matthew 18:20, where two or three have gathered together in my name, there I am in their midst. And if you want, I can go to Leviticus 14:11, and it should say, oh, dang it, I typed in Leviticus wrong. I messed this up repeatedly. Can you find it?
What word are you looking for?
Just read Leviticus 14:11.
Leviticus 14:11.
Yeah.
Okay. And the priest that maketh him clean shall present the man that is to be made clean, and those things before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right. So you see, they're presenting themselves before the Lord.
Is that in heaven?
Nope.
No.
So you see, yet again.
Well, in Job verse 1, it establishes there was a man in the land of Uz, or whatever that word is, U-Z. So the land, is there land in heaven?
Right. Good question. Is there land in heaven?
I,
Satan is even questioned. It's like Satan. God says to Satan, like, where do you come from? Or like, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I'm just going to and fro in the earth, just going up and down in it.
yeah,
He left the earth. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm still here. I'm just like walking around, dude. Like, I'm just chilling. And then he's like, oh, hey, have you seen my servant Job? He's like, oh, no, yeah, I seen him. That's just how it seems to me in like layman's terms. But
well, yeah, exactly. It's not saying. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in heaven.
right, like, oh, I just came up to you because like I got to tell you about Job over here, who you brought up to me.
So yeah, I think obviously, clearly, they're not in heaven. It's established on land.
Right.
And
They're not in heaven at all. So that, I guess, that ends that debate. And then that brings us to the infamous one, which I'll admit I'm stuck on this one, but we're going to work on it because all the other verses show that angels are not angels are never sons of God. So if this is your only verse that you have is Job 38:7. Is that what it is? The next one, 38:7.
yeah, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy.
Right. So first off, I would ask, who are the morning stars, and then the sons of God would be obviously the believers. Why would it repeat itself? If both of them were angels, if the morning stars are angels and the sons of God are angels, then it really reads like, so when the angels sang together and the angels shouted for joy. Why didn't it just say that? Because, I mean, Moses and all the other people, they knew the word for angel. They wrote it tons of times. They just chose to write sons of God this time.
Yeah, no, I think that word son, it means man again, and these
Right.
men of God, and they shouted for joy. Now, Job 38, the entire book of Job is interesting, but Job 38 in particular, it's God talking to Job, and there's a lot of very interesting things that God is asking Job, and boy, you can get hung up on a few of these,
Oh, yeah.
not just that one. I mean, as far as being able to understand it exactly, in my opinion, you know, how did God do the things that He did, right?
Well, yeah.
And anyways, but the way I see that verse is the morning stars. I think would have to be stars, and sons of God would have to be men of God.
I think I actually heard someone else saying, like, not every time when it's saying, like, like the morning stars sang together, there are times where they throw in those things like the mountains will, like, it says some things like that, like the mountains will do something or other, which obviously they can't, or like clap their hands.
Well,
Have hands.
it talks about like the fields will sing, or
Right, the fields will sing. It's like, all right, well, clearly the fields don't sing, but yeah,
in their own way they might. Okay,
right, but it's not literal.
they're not singing Green Day songs,
Right, they're not singing "Walking Contradiction."
right? But they, it's like my cat. He doesn't really talk, but he talks, or he communicates with me, but he doesn't really say any. He doesn't speak English. Let's put it that way.
Of course, he speaks meowish.
Yeah, I meowish. And I notice your cat does too.
Yeah, your buddies. They're conspiring against us.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the moon's out. No, the moon's not out. You just talked
It's
about that.
supposed to be a full moon, a new moon. It's supposed to be almost no moon right now.
Yeah, maybe there's a full moon has an effect and no moon has an effect. I don't know, but
Perhaps.
or maybe my cat's just crazy too. It's
So
possible.
yeah, this brings me to before I think we go to the next one. I think we should look up the terms holy seed and seed of men.
Okay.
So you look up holy seed, I'll look up seed of men.
Let's see. Holy seed is mentioned twice in the entire Bible.
Correct, and only one of them is relevant to what I'm talking about, as far as I know. The other one, I'm not sure quite what it's talking about. But the one should be obvious.
Okay, so I'm not sure.
They're going to say that the... Go ahead.
No, good. They're not. Say that what you're going to say.
No, that's it. Go ahead. It's all you.
I was gonna cite the verse here.
Yep.
Is it Ezra 9:2? Is that the one?
That sounds right.
Okay. Because it's also mentioned in Isaiah 6:13. But let's go Ezra first.
Ezra.
For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yeah, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass.
Mm-hmm. So you see, once again, people mingling with people whom they shouldn't be mingling with. A holy seed mingling with the unbelievers. Is that what you get from that?
Absolutely.
You see some angels up in there.
No, what, you got somebody saying angels are part of this?
No, that's just one thing I like to point out that nobody really brings up. The term holy seed only appears twice, and one of the two it's talking about certain people who shouldn't be mingling. And likewise, you have in Daniel? Is it Daniel?
What are you looking at?
The miry clay? That whole thing, Daniel, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And they'll say, oh, well, you see, clearly this seed of these other people, whomever they're going to mingle with, clearly has to be something that's not men. So it has to be alien or angels or
Oh, sure. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with uh,
miry.
miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
Right. So they'll mingle, but they will not cleave one to another. So that's kind of what I'm seeing around me. It's like we got believers mixing with unbelievers, but they ain't really cleaving to each other like they're supposed to. You know, like they're kind of separated and like divorcing, and I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't see as far as tying this into angels, I don't see it, man.
They will, though. Trust you me, they will. They have.
They're stepping outside of the Bible, and they're trying to fit their worldview. It's the same.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing in a lot of.
It's the same thing as the flat Earth.
It really is. It really is. People are trying to imagine things that aren't there.
Yeah,
It's
and
not there, man.
they try and fit other things that are outside the Bible into the Bible, like the book of Jasher and the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilees and all these other, or even just like Josephus. Like,
Yeah, it's not there, man. And it's hard to admit that you've been lied to or that you believed a lie. Now, I've believed all kinds of lies, so it's not hard for me at all to accept the idea that I might be wrong about something. And I tried to fit in that worldview of aliens from the planet Mars and all that stuff. I tried to believe in all that stuff. I mean, I argued in favor of it, believed it. It makes good sense if we live on a planet Earth.
right.
But,
If we live on a planet Earth.
yeah, and then in a logical process, you'd have to find these alien beings in the Scripture if you believe in God. So
Right.
you're really stepping. You really use your imagination to make this all fit.
Right, and that's what I think kind of the grand deception is going to be in the end. It's like even the elect could be deceived, because if you believe that the earth is a ball and it's spinning around and around the sun, and the sun's going around the galaxy and the galaxy's going around some other galaxies, and there's aliens out there, then you're prone and open to evolution, and then all these aliens evolved on these other worlds, and we evolved here, and we're coming up, and they're going to come and help us, and they're going to be our savior and all this stuff. And then in the end, it just seems like, to me, like they're going to trick you into like fighting against the Lord somehow. You're going to be one of the ones fighting against the Lord, which I wouldn't recommend.
Right. It's in Matthew 24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Right.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the word wonders.
Yes.
And shall show great signs and wonders. Now, who shows greater wonders than NASA?
Thank you, buddy.
I mean, who is the most? I mean, that's the most wonderful stuff that anybody's ever saw in their entire life, is the things that NASA's doing. People are fascinated with NASA.
And you even got four of the five letters required to spell Satan. I'm just saying, it's irrelevant, but
Yeah, and so in like the point that you're making, and they shall deceive the very elect. Now, can you believe in a ball earth and still be saved? Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
You can believe in a lot of funny stuff and still be saved.
Yeah.
The way I see it is, go back to when I first became a believer. I didn't know anything. All I knew was that I was born again, that I was born of the Spirit of God, and that I had accepted Jesus Christ. I believe that Jesus. I I remember telling a lady I believe Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and I didn't know nothing. I barely even read the Bible at that point, and just and believing in Jesus is the Christ, and that God has raised him from the dead. That's the most important thing anybody will do in their life. But at that point, when you first become born again, you don't have all the answers. You're going to try to justify things, and you're going to get a lot of stuff wrong. But you're going to grow in the truth. I think if you really if you put the truth at the forefront, even the Bible says that we must worship him in spirit and in truth. And so we let the truth guide us and help us grow. Not everybody, I don't know everything, not everybody knows everything, and this is all part of the growing process, and some people are picking up on it, and others are not even giving it a chance. But
Yeah, and my life was changed by God and by Jesus. Like, I was totally a schwanz before before I got into this at all. Now, like, everything has changed. Just like it says, everything has become new. Like, all the things that I used to care about, I don't care anything about anymore.
yeah.
Become new. So it wasn't bullshitting me. I could see that for my own self. That's not something I could tell you about. You'd have to experience it for yourself.
Well, yeah, and I wish everybody could see what I see, and I'm sure that others feel that way as well about what they've learned, how they've grown, and the experiences that they've had, and the truths that they know. And yeah, and but this issue, there's a lot of things that I've got to do more study on. I've got to learn more about. But this one, I'm sold on. This issue of sons of God not being angels. Sons of God are men. And like we covered, it's right there. It's starting in Genesis 6. I think it's a done deal. But there are more mentions of sons of God. Did you want to go over every one of them?
Oh yeah, we have to, because there's a juicy part coming up real good. But it's I wanted to first point out, why would an angel need to present himself before the Lord? In Job's scenario, why would an angel, if the sons of God are angels, why would an angel need to present himself before the Lord, considering they're always before the Lord, beholding his face?
Yeah, man, you're going outside of, you're using your imagination and going outside of Scripture, because that's not what it says, and there's nothing in there to indicate that that's what's going on.
Right, you're agreeing with me.
Yeah.
Okay, just some people might get confused off that, but yeah, all right. So yeah, there's no reason to go off to think that angels are sons of God so far.
None,
All right,
none at all.
we can go on to the next one then, because there's a juicy one coming up, I know.
Okay, John 1, verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God,
That's
even
the
to
juicy
them that
one.
believe on his name.
Even the ones that believe on his name. That is the juicy verse right there.
Now,
So
can I reread that?
read it one more time, but instead of saying sons of God, put angels in there.
But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become angels, even to them that believe on his name.
Is that
Ridiculous.
not silly or what? You're going to become an angel now?
No. Well,
We'll be as him, but he's not an angel. He was made lower than the angels for a time, but now he has attained a better name than the angels, hasn't he?
yeah, absolutely.
And if we're going to be joint heirs with him, like what do angels like? The angels have no remission of sins. There's no one died for them. No one died for their sins. Jesus died for man's sins, not for angels' sins, right?
Right. Exactly.
So if we're going to be believers in Jesus, then we are co-heirs with him in his name, all that. We're brothers in Christ, so we're joint heirs. But angels get no part in that.
Right, exactly.
So I just all these things, and these are the things that most people don't bring up. So
Well, yeah, yeah.
we're going to the nitty gritty tonight. We're gonna slaughter us some Nephilim giants.
Yeah, there's no reason at all there's no reason at all to believe that should mean angels. And what you're doing by saying, well, okay, sons of God means sons of God here, but sons of God means angels here, you're more or less dictating what the word of God is. Rather than having fear for the word of God, you're you're changing it basically. You're making the decision of what God is saying,
Right.
which
You're inserting the word. I do admit some Bibles do say angel there, but that's a bad Bible. Use the King James. See what that one says. Because that one hasn't been changed to angel. It doesn't change the throne of God to the freaking moon.
exactly, and that's that's something I think people gotta uh, pay attention to is what Bible are they reading, because that's the foundation for everything you believe. If your foundation is corrupt, everything that you believe will become corrupt.
Perfect. Yes. If your foundation is faulty, you got nothing.
Yeah, and if you believe in God, you ought to believe in it. God has promised to preserve His word. You ought to believe that He has kept that promise. If you don't believe He kept that promise, if you think He broke that promise, then why would you believe He's going to keep the promise of giving you everlasting life?
Right. That defeats the whole purpose. Now God is a liar.
Well, yeah, exactly. And and I think I've been studying this quite a bit lately, and that is that all modern versions in the English language are Vatican perversions. Every one of them.
I would agree. So I guess that puts us off to the next one. But I will tell you, I have to take a small break to go to the little man's room. So I will scurry back. But go ahead and read the next one. Give them your thoughts, and I will try and run back as fast as I can.
Okay, very good. Okay. All right, so the next verse is Romans 8, verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. So again, I don't see any indication that this would be angels. I'm not sure what Albert's opinion is on this, if he's got any thoughts, but verse same chapter, verse 19, it also says, excuse me. Okay,
Okay.
excuse me. I'm sorry. Verse 19 it says, "For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God." So that's both of those verses are in Romans 8, verses 14 and 19. You have any thoughts on that, Albert? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm here. Thoughts on what?
Romans 8.
Romans 8. You have it there?
Yeah. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. And then verse.
Right. Okay, the one that we just did. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. For as many that are as led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. It's the same thing. It's for as many that are led by the Spirit of God, they are the angels. Like what?
No, right.
Like, it's one of the other people. You can't pick and choose. It doesn't mean angels one time and then like men the other time. It's one or the other. There's no in between. There's no middle ground. God is not the author of confusion. He's not going to tell you two different words for two different terms. If he does, it's going to be because one is metaphorical and he's telling you the meaning elsewhere. Like with Daniel's dreams, like the candlesticks and stuff like this. Or sorry, not Daniel's dreams, but like these are the two candlesticks. Like he tells you what the candlesticks mean. You there? Guy?
Hey. Yeah, I had to get something to drink, man.
Oh, no problem. Sorry. Don't know if you heard what I said, though.
I heard the first part.
Don't expect me to be able to repeat it.
That's okay.
But so that was the next verse, was Romans 8:14?
But yeah, the 14 and verse 19, for the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. And there's hardly any difference there, I think. Right?
It does compare sons of men. That's one of the things I wanted to look up. Sons of men. It compares the sons of men unto beasts. So when it says like the earnest expectation of the creature is for the sons of God to be revealed, like because technically, if we're all sons of men to begin with, then we're all beasts, brute beasts.
Well, yeah.
And then through faith in Jesus, you become a son of God.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's
the gift of the Holy Spirit, and everything changes after you get the Holy Spirit. Like seriously,
sons of men is mentioned in 23 verses.
Yes, and look, if you look through, just skim through them, go ahead, read whatever you want. But if you look through the verses where it says sons of men, you'll see all the times it speaks of sons of men, it's not really favoring them too much.
No.
It's not speaking very good things of them.
I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. Hold on a second.
Yeah, there's quite a few, but it says sons of men, because everybody goes off on daughters of men. So why not look up sons of men?
Right. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts.
Yep.
Right, so that's a good one. There's a difference there between sons of men and sons of God.
Definitely a huge difference, and the difference is not angels.
Well, yeah, different kinds of different planets, maybe. Angels from Mars and angels from Jupiter.
Of course, yeah. You know that there's people, like I said earlier, channel the Archangel Michael, stuff like that. That's how ridiculous this has gotten. They're actually claiming to channel angels by name.
Well, that's interesting. I never heard.
I was into it, man. Like I'm telling you, I used to listen to these channeled messages. They're all over. I could point you in the direction, but I would advise not reading them. They're just, bad.
Well, isn't that something? Is that related to familiar?
I do believe it is. Yes. I believe they're channeling familiar spirits. They're getting their information from spirits, but the problem is the spirits are lying to them because they're evil spirits. Just as the Lord can send elect angels among you, He can likewise send evil angels among you. So, I think the Lord has full capability to send whichever kind of angel He pleases.
Right, yeah, exactly.
In other words, they can't do anything without His permission, especially not just come down here and foil his whole plan, taking away all of his power and glory by defiling men and women by mating with them. That doesn't that take away from the power of God? Like you're gonna say, oh, the angels, they went against them. Like, oh, where's the power of God now? I
Yeah.
thought, oh, he could stop this. Oh, why didn't he stop this? Well, he did, because he didn't allow it. Things reproduce after their kind, right? Like it said in Genesis. Have you ever seen a snake or an iguana like make babies? Perhaps a squid and an octopus, or a goldfish and a piranha. Anything? Have you seen any animals mixed together and create some strange thing? No, I don't think so. There are certain bodies which are celestial, and there are certain bodies which are terrestrial. Each has its own glory. They're not interchangeable.
Good point. Good point, man.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. Well, I think we're coming to the close of this, but how
What do
many more we got to go?
got 3 more to go.
Fair enough. We're getting there.
All right, it's Philippians chapter 2, verse 15, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom you shine as lights in the world.
I don't really think I have to say anything about that one. That one's pretty much self-explanatory, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're the shining beacon right here. Like, see how we're saying, hi, hello, get the truth. I don't care about fame or fortune or money or any of that crap. I want you to have the truth so that you can be saved. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing angels there, man.
I'm not seeing angels there either. Even if you read it with angel in there.
It wouldn't. It would make my brain shake.
Exactly. All right, so I think we can go on to the next one then.
Okay, and then 1 John chapter 3, verse 1, behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not.
Exactly. It knoweth me and you not, buddy, because they're going to go off on some Nephilim hybrid shenanigans. But no, it knew him not. One more time in the beginning.
Yeah, behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God.
Right. Not that we should be called angels, right?
Right. And you said the word Nephilim? You know, I looked that word up. Did you look that word up?
I've heard numerous interpretations. They say it means the one who fell, the fallen. It means giant. It means bully. It means brute. It means tyrant.
No, I mean in the Bible.
Yeah, I haven't found the word Nephilim anywhere in my Bible. I
No.
see giant.
I'm still looking.
I see the word giant. Sorry, guys. And like we went over before, if you are misinformed or you need some help, go back to the beginning of the broadcast, because we talked about that.
Yeah, it's not in the Bible. It's it's a foreign word, and they people use it to mean Marvin the Martian or something like that. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
you gotta love Marvin.
Yeah. Marvin the Martian, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Indeed, it is.
Okay, and then the very next verse was 1 John chapter 3. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is.
Right, so now we become angels once again.
Yeah, you're really
It's
to stretch to,
so stretched.
yeah. All those 11 times, man. I don't see angel in one of them.
Well, fair enough. I think we squashed them all then. That's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah, and just to my original point, man, I think this is the idea of angels having sex is related to the idea of this fantasy of everything having sex with everything.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like,
Gross.
why would you even want that? Like, why would you want to mix your cabbage with your carrots? Or why would you want to mix your rabbit with your, like, pig? Like, what are
Yeah.
you going to get? Like, bunny chops? Like, I don't know.
No, right. And there's a reason why we have sex, and there's a time coming when we're not going to have sex, and it's life is not all about sex, despite what you see on TV.
Right. And that doesn't mean go and have all the sex you can now because there's not going to be any sex in heaven.
Well,
That's
no,
not the way to go about it.
no, but if you have a wife, that's your business, right? But
Yeah.
it's a good thing. It's because if it wasn't for sex, me and you wouldn't be here, right? Somebody had to have sex for us to be here.
Yeah, of course, because we need to reproduce.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to take any questions. It's not like we have a lot of viewers, but we do have a couple people over there. Maybe Victoria wanted to say something, or Yoshi.
Yeah.
But if you can give me a second, you can talk about whatever you want while I try and see if they want to come on or not.
Okay. Yeah. You want me to talk?
Yes.
Okay. About anything?
Anything you want, brother.
All right. Well, I don't know what to say, but I'll just go back to what I was saying at the very beginning that in Genesis 6, the sons of God is first established in the very first verse of chapter 6. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. So the premise is the men were multiplying, and then in verse 2 it says the sons of God saw the daughters of men. So the sons of God is within that category of men. And right on down the line through the whole chapter, there's no mention at all of angels or anything at all to suggest the sons of God would mean angels. So in my opinion, it's a false doctrine, and it's not there in the Bible anywhere that you're going to find UFO, aliens, Marvin the Martian, or angels being the sons of God. It's not there.
I agree. So fair enough. I think we've pretty much conquered this whole thing, and I don't really have any much more to say. I think we've covered everything. But if for whatever reason we've missed something, anybody has anything to say against it, put your question in the comments, and maybe we'll go ahead and have another one, and maybe even you can come on and ask us some questions. Just no belligerence.
No belligerence.
Yeah.
I like
There's no need to be evil or mean about it. We can talk like normal people.
No, right. And if somebody disagrees with me about anything, all that means to me is that they're wrong.
Likewise, I agree.
That's all
This
that
means
means.
that I'm right and you're wrong. It's not not even that I'm right. It's the Bible is right.
It doesn't mean we have to go to war. It doesn't mean we have to punch each other in the face.
Right.
It doesn't mean we have to call each other names. It just means you're wrong.
Right. And by all means, me and Jay Henning Kloggy here, by all means, we definitely also do not agree on every point. But on this one, we can come together.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully on board.
Unless you have anything else to say, I'm going to go ahead and close us out for the night.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Well, good night, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.